Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of central Iowa, welcome to Mac's World Live. Mac's World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Mac's World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Mac's World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Good afternoon, 7 minutes after 3 o'clock. 3:07, 12th day of April in the Lord's year 2016. Friday, there are three famous things that happened. Do you know any of them, Frank?
Yes, I do. Something about Abraham Lincoln. It's tax day, and it's your birthday.
Well, it's the day the Titanic sunk. The Titanic was hit on the 14th and sank on the 15th of April in
1912.
Abraham Lincoln was shot on the 15th and died on the 16th. And I was going to say Pastor Mike Householder shares a birthday with those people too. But yes, it is my birthday too, but I appreciate you saying that.
And it's tax day.
And it's tax day. See, it's not tax.
Well, some years it's the 17th.
Well, yeah. So I don't follow. Okay. It's tax day. You're right. It's tax day.
It's always considered that.
Yeah, the majority of America, it's tax day. My tax day comes
quarterly.
in August.
Don't yours come quarterly?
No. We file late.
Oh.
And we do it now. I think it's August or October because we find that is helpful with the IRS. Yeah. And anytime you can be nice to the IRS,
help them guys out.
Yeah, help those guys out. Frank, you should have been an IRS agent. You would have been a great IRS agent.
Yeah. Where are you hiding all your hidden funds at?
That's right. You could just start a forensic.
Go through people's mattresses and.
Nobody does that anymore.
Yeah, you've heard those stories about people who lived like paupers all their life, and they tore their house down, and they had like $1 million in their stuffed in their wall.
Yeah. All right, let's get right to what I want to talk about today, because I just think I want to turn this upside down, and of course I need liberal opinion on this. And I won't have any because I don't have any liberals, low information voters. You consider yourself a liberal?
I'll try to do my best.
Kind of liberal.
You want me to play the best liberal I can play?
Yeah. I mean, that would be nice. I think you can probably, because you're a little, well, no, you're not.
He kind of plays nice with the Muslims and the Islam.
What?
And he hates Trump.
He hates Trump.
What? Yeah.
Yes, I share a dislike for Trump.
And he's kind of a softy on the border issues.
I'm an incredible softy on the border issues.
That's true.
Our southern border, anybody who thinks we're going to build a wall is silly. We've been talking about building a wall for a long, long time. It ain't going to happen. Stop talking about it. It's a joke.
What did I hear the other day? That Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders should be running mates, and free college for everybody, and Mexico's going to pay for it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Well, buddy.
That's what's going to happen right there. That's the future of America.
Well, buddy, that wall just got 10 feet higher.
That's right. Just got to, that sucker's high. We're touching the moon. Astronauts can't even get in here, man.
All right. So in North Carolina, they have passed a religious protection bill. And what that religious protection bill basically means is you don't have to change your bathrooms to a transgendered bathroom if you don't want to. If you don't want to bake a cake for a gay couple's wedding, you don't have to. Things like that. Things that, like, I think about Dick and Betty Odegaard up here in Grimes, who lost their business to Gort's house because they very nicely said, I really don't want a wedding reception in this church for same-sex couples. And for those of you that know, it was a setup. If you don't know that, let me tell you for sure. And if anybody wants to call and argue with me, I'm feeling kind of feisty today, so I'd love somebody to call up and tell me this isn't true, because I've got proof. The narrative is this was just a young couple of boys who wanted to get married and having a hard time finding a venue, and they were so insulted by this old elderly Christian couple that, they weren't as good enough to have a wedding in their place, and so they sued him. Poor boys. Fact of the matter is they were already married. They had already been previously married, and the marriage license was on file in Polk County. Now, some people say, well, that doesn't matter. They still turned it down. Well, it's false premise. But we have a tendency in this country to allow false premise. You know, a cop can pose as a drug dealer selling drugs to try to bust the buyer. I don't really get that. Why that's okay? Why? But it is, and that's what they do, and I'm not going to argue with it.
That's entrapment.
Well, that's what I would think, but they do it anyway, and they never get in trouble for it. All right, so you've got North Carolina, or is it South Carolina?
It's North Carolina.
All right, and North Carolina is kind of special to us because we have stations in North Carolina.
We have the Truth Network has several stations in North Carolina, and our home office is in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
So you've got this law, which is a religious liberty law. Excuse me.
No, it was good stuff.
I don't do that very often.
Jimmy's Greek Euro right there is what that is.
Yeah, I'm
Merle
sorry.
Hay Mall, that's good stuff.
Sometimes I get gas, but it doesn't make a sound like that. Frank, was that you, really?
Yes.
Did you make that sound
Really me.
just to embarrass me?
You've told me a dozen times, or I've told you, it's always dangerous to eat just before the broadcast.
He does tell me that.
I do tell him
That's
that.
true. All right. So because this law is now in place, you've got the NFL, Bruce Springsteen, PayPal, Bryan Adams, if anybody who even knows who that is.
That cuts like a knife. My goodness.
And others saying that they're not going to do business in North Carolina. Well, here's what's strange about that. They're not going to do business in North Carolina because why? They have a moral objection to the religious rights law. Well, isn't that the same thing that Dick and Betty Odegaard did? Didn't they have a moral objection? And the state sued them and they lost their business? So can't we sue Bruce Springsteen? And he had a concert booked there and he canceled the concert. So you've got thousands of people who are going to go to that concert. Who would be the NFL team in the North Carolina? Is that the Panthers?
Panthers, yep.
So the NFL is threatening to pull the Panthers out of North Carolina. Couldn't you sue the NFL the same way that the AFL-CIO or whoever that was sued Dick and Betty Gord, sued the cake maker in Oregon, sued the pizza place in Chicago?
Indiana.
You know, we were told endlessly during the Gort's House smear campaign that if you were in business, it is illegal and immoral to refuse to do business because of what they are doing offends your moral code. So where's the lawsuits against the NFL and Springsteen? Yeah.
So here would be, and I actually think there is a difference. This is not just me playing devil's advocate here. There's a difference, and the primary difference is that in the case of a baker choosing not to bake a cake for a same-sex couple, the choice that the baker is making is against a person and an individual and the individual's choices. It's one person saying, I don't approve of your choices, and therefore I'm not going to serve you because of the choices you make. One is a service issue. What Bruce Springsteen, PayPal, the NFL, what they're threatening is they're essentially boycotting North Carolina because of legislation that they've passed. They are not attacking individuals or saying that we're not going to serve you because you do something immoral. They're boycotting legislation. So that's the difference. One is,
but they won't bring their services to our state. Let's say I'm in North Carolina. They won't bring their services there. That's a bigot.
Right, but it's a boycott, right? They are boycotting legislation, and the way that they're boycotting the legislation is by not going to North Carolina and doing their service in North Carolina.
So why don't we just stand up and call their bluff and let the people who want to boycott, and then the ones who want to stand and cheer for the people who are making a stand can make up the difference. If we lose something, we gain something.
Well, I don't think where do the Panthers play?
Charlotte.
Charlotte, I think, yeah.
I don't think Charlotte would appreciate that very much.
If the Panthers left?
Millions and millions millions of dollars.
I think Mac's right. I think Frank is right. I think it's a bluff. I don't think they're going to do those things. I think it's just bullying. I think it's a threat.
Springsteen already canceled his concert. That's
yeah,
done.
but he needed.
PayPal says they're already moving out.
Bruce Springsteen needed a break. He is tired. He's been on the road a long time. It's a good excuse. Bryan Adams just said, this is not the first time that he's done this tour thing. It was a good excuse to take a break.
Maybe his ticket sales was tanking anyway.
Yeah, and this makes him look good.
Yeah.
So what's the deal about PayPal? I mean, them moving out. What does that mean? What does that look like?
Well, it's
600 jobs.
Okay, so it's not that they'll stop taking people's money.
No, they'll move a company out of there, or maybe they were going to place a company there. One of the two. 600 jobs will be gone.
I've got a really simple solution to this problem. A simple problem, simple solution. Go find someone to bake your cake that wants to bake your cake. Instead of trying to force someone to bake your cake. Now, if you make a stink in a restaurant over your food, you probably won't want to eat that food after it comes back to you.
Right.
So, if you force somebody to bake your cake, I don't know, as a gay person, I'd want to eat that cake because I'm not sure somebody might not whiz in it.
Do what?
Whiz in it. In the batter.
Wow.
Whiz in the batter.
This conversation went weird fast. I did not. Escalated quickly. I did not see that.
Just saying, you might want to be careful what you ask for because you might not get what you want.
Well, the bottom line, Mac, is the reason why it's not perceived as the same thing is because one group, the PayPals, the Panthers, the Bruce Springsteen, the Bryan Adams, they're standing up against what they see as an injustice. Whereas the Christian baker is being
he's standing up against what he sees as injustice. So let's talk about this. So let's come back after the break, because I do have a lot of opinions off of my Facebook page, and I do have a lot of liberals on my Facebook page. All right, we're coming back live here on The Truth. Yep, The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
from the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
"21 minutes after 3 o'clock, 3:21, 12th day of April, Lord's year 2016. J. Michael McCoy here live in Max World on a Tuesday afternoon. You can contact us several different ways. Your voice is something I always want to hear at 515-244-0077. That's 515-244-0077. Producer, can I call Jeb wet behind the ears?
You can call him anything you want.
Well, no, I don't want to call him something that he would be offended by. Would you be offended by wet behind the ears?
Explain to me exactly what that means.
It means you're inexperienced.
You're green.
You're green.
Slight understatement.
So Jeb is our producer now, and Jeb's last name, of course, is Bush. And when you call 244-0077, he'll be the guy answering the phone, and he'll get you on the air for us. And Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat, and the Service Legends Truth text line is 515-809-0993. And based on an answer Bob just sent out, Mr. Roloff thought I should say that the opinions of Bob Montserrat on the Service Legends Truth text line are not necessarily those opinions of J. Michael McCoy, Chris Roloff, Frank Thomas, Jeb Bush, or anyone else here at The Truth 99.3. Given that, what was the question that was posed?
Were there separate restrooms when Jesus walked the earth?
And your answer was?
My answer was oak trees for males and sycamore trees for females.
There you go.
I don't know my what do you call treology?
Treology.
I don't know my treology very well. Why would one of those be better for a man and the other better for a woman? I'm serious. I don't know why.
Well, actually, the sycamore probably should be transgender. Is my guess.
Well, the leaves of a sycamore, since I had one in my front yard, can get as big as about your two hands. So maybe it was good for some use.
Like toilet paper.
Yeah. Girls might need more of it. I don't know. Just saying. I don't know.
I don't understand, Robert. I'll be honest with you. I don't understand. I tell you what I do understand, though. I do understand when it comes time to hire a professional realtor. How about that for a segue? You don't need no sycamore tree. You need Seth Walker, best buddy with Texas Ranger Walker. No, we have a tendency of using our friends for realtors. And if you're a realtor listening to me, I'm not picking on anybody in particular. I'll pick on myself. I had a real estate license for many years, and I was a terrible realtor. Terrible. You know why? Because I loved buyers. Buyers are excited people, and they want to look at the houses, and they're dreaming of the possibilities. But there's a saying in real estate that's called, if you list, you last. So if you get a lot of listings, then you have all these other agents selling your houses for you, and you make a ton of money. But there is nothing worse than an anxious seller who calls you up at 1 minute after 4 o'clock after your open house and says, "Did you sell the house?" "No, we had an open house." "Well, did anybody make an offer?" "No, nobody made it." "Well, why not?" "I don't know why." "Well, you're the realtor. I hired you. You should know that." When I met Seth Walker, I realized he had that figured out. He knows how to work with both buyers and sellers because Seth is an amazing professional. One of the things Seth likes is just people texting him and saying, "Hey, I was looking at a house at 6113 59th Place Avenue Boulevard. Can you tell me about the house?" And he'll jump on it and he'll get back with you. So let me give you the phone. Actually, we'll let Frank, because he gets so excited to be able to participate.
515.
Go ahead, give the number.
515.
Now be nice about it.
577-3728. That's 515-577-3728.
And you might just send you might just send Seth a text from your own phone. Just put test, and then he should come back and go 1, 2, 3. But seriously, think about if you're going to try to do a real estate deal. If you're looking for a house for that family, you're expecting, maybe you're going to be an empty nester here pretty soon. Maybe the grandkids are all grown up now and you just don't need the extra room, the playroom, the bedrooms. And it's time for you to downsize. Call Seth Walker and give him an opportunity to serve you. He is a professional real estate agent. 515-577-3728. All right. So, Bob, how did you answer that text? Oh, never mind. You told me that.
I did, but we have another one.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Are we getting back to what we were originally talking about?
Are we talking about North Carolina?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It's all about them bullying people into accepting their immorality and godlessness.
Yes, it is. But it's happened all the time. We have been bullied, as Steve Deace likes to say. We will be made to care. We have been called horrible names, and for some reason, we allow words to hurt us. What happened to sticks and stones will break my bones, but words can never hurt me? What happened to that? I mean, I am a blessed man. It is very, very difficult to offend me. And that's not because I have this thick outer tortoise shell. It's not because I'm tough or smart. I just don't let what people say offend me because you choose to be offended, right?
Yes.
You choose to be offended. So I'm just going to choose not to be offended. 515-244-0077. It's your voice I want to hear.
And if you're not offended, there are people out there who will be offended for you.
Absolutely. So I just choose not to be offended. But there are those people, and it's the churches and it's the politicians. Those are our weak spots. It's not you and me. I mean, listen to what we're talking about on the radio today. We're not saying, oh, please, Mr. North Carolina Panthers, please don't leave Charlotte. And, oh, NASCAR, please don't leave. Well, NASCAR wouldn't do that. But please don't leave. And PayPal, please. No, go. Go. Don't let the door hit you on the backside on the way out the door. Go. You don't want to be a part of our community? Go. But then the politicians get involved because here's this job lost and then that job lost and unemployment goes up and just get tired of all the whiners. All the whiners. You going to say something? Because I'm going to the phone because John's hanging on.
I'd like to talk to John.
John, you're live in Mac's World. How you doing today?
Good, Mac. I just had a comment on the North Carolina event. I believe that every Christian should be following up that governor and thanking him for standing up for what's right.
Yep.
And as far as PayPal, they're doing business with all these other countries that kill homosexuals, but they're still doing business with them. And if they threaten to pull out these other countries, them other countries turn them inside out and send them packing. So this double standard of all this LGBT garbage is getting sick. They shoved down our throat. We need to stand up for what's right and back people up that's standing up for what's right.
Yeah, you know, John makes a good point. They don't have any problem doing business in countries where women are treated as second-rate citizens, where stoning in the street or murder for religious views is totally acceptable, in countries where women can be murdered if they don't do what they're supposed to do as far as marry this guy and have this baby, etc. In Russia, they kill homosexuals. And yet the amount of business is done by American companies in and out of Russia is incredible.
Can I ask one question? I mean, is it possible that the Bruce Springsteens, the Bryan Adams, the PayPal, these businesses and things that are making these threats, these boycotts, are just trying to prevent the United States from going down the road of becoming like those countries? Isn't it possible that they see this kind of legislation that gives the right to a particular group to not serve, to put down, to refuse service or care for another citizen? That kind of legislation, maybe they see this as the slippery slope that's going to lead America down a path where we are having abuse in the streets, where people who have views that are not held by the religious majority are stoned. Maybe they're trying to prevent the United States from becoming like that.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
John, any further comment?
Well, it's just like we just keep passing up all these different road signs, and I work in the construction business. We'll put a road work sign first thing we'll see, and there'll be people go right on past that. Then it'll go up to the road closed ahead. People will go past that. Then it'll be road closed. They'll go past that. Then there'll be a wooden barricade, and the bridge is out, and they'll still go past that. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with these homosexuals, is trying to warn them that Jesus Christ loves them, saving them from eternity in hell, and they're still going past it, and we get called haters and people that don't have compassion, but it's been twisted around so bad. But Max, thanks for the work you do, and just keep it up. We appreciate it.
All right, John, man, thanks for listening. I appreciate you.
Well,
Frank?
I think what John is saying is right on the money. They take an inch, or you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. It never stops. It just moves on to the next injustice, the next tragedy. It's like it's like an ongoing thing. There's no end to it. Just when they think they've solved the wonderful thing that's going to lead us all to utopia, there's a next newest tragedy to solve, an injustice.
Bob, you have a text there? You look like you were going to say something.
No.
All right, 515-244-0077. That's the number to call in on the voice line. It's your voice I want to hear. You can text a response at 515-809-0993. If this law passed in Iowa, what would they do? I mean, would Wells Fargo threaten to leave, the second largest employer in the state, first being the state?
They probably would. I believe in North Carolina, a large Wells Fargo building actually put up in lights on their building. You know how you can do that with skyscrapers and that kind of stuff. Support for the LGBT movement in North Carolina. Wells Fargo showed their support for that.
Do you think, Chris, let me ask you a question. Do you think that if a company showed support for the LGBT movement, do you think that is just political? Or do you think those people that ordered the lights on, are they all going to go burn in hell? And I was blunt there, but I meant to be.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the question, actually. I like the question a whole lot because it's one of the things I noted. As Christians, one of the things that we find ourselves really concerned with is the eternal state of someone. And we say, well, we don't want so and so to go to hell. They're in sin and they're gonna burn for all eternity, and we're concerned with that. Well, the greatest sin, in fact, the only sin that matters, is the sin of unbelief. If someone chooses to reject, the question is going to be asked, what did you do with my son? What did you do with Jesus Christ? Who is Jesus Christ to you? Is he just some prophet that you thought was an okay guy? Was he a joke? Was he an idiot?
An allegory?
Was he an allegory? What was Jesus? What did you do with Jesus Christ? It's not a question of what did you do with your sexual organs. It's not a question of what did you do when you were pregnant. It's not a question of what did you do when you had that car. How did you drive? It's not a question of what did you do with your finances. That's not the first question you're going to be asked when you stand before a holy God. The question you're going to be asked is, what did you do with my son? Have you rejected my son? Because Jesus Christ is the only one who makes us acceptable before the Father. Jesus himself said that no one comes to the Father except through me. And so one of the things as Christians we've got to remember is that the greatest need for the world is not to be free from homosexuality or be free from whatever kind of sin that enslaves them. They need to be free from that, but the only way that's going to happen is if they come into a living relationship with Jesus Christ. That's where it has to start, and that's where the conversation has to lead us. And I think we lose sight of that.
So is North Carolina correct in passing this religious right bill? That's the question I ask you. What if this was Iowa and Wells Fargo was threatening to leave and the Barnstormers were threatening to leave and all these other things were going to collapse? How would you feel about that? We'll go there next.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Weird and creepy. 22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News. Next hour from the Iowa Faith and Coalition, Steve Scheffler, Iowa Republican committee person, will be in, and we'll talk a little bit about the conventions that were held across the state for the Republicans and why the Trump people are screaming so loud, why they're already saying that the election is the nomination is being stolen from them. Fair politics? I mean, politics is politics. There's no love, there's no peace, there's no Jesus in politics. Politics is this PC word that says I'm going to really treat my neighbor bad, and I have a right to because they play the game of politics. It's kind of like Stanley Hauerwas said the other day on the radio when he was here. The worst thing that Christians ever did in America was to accept war. And we accepted war in World War I, at least according to Stanley, because the South, who was particularly religious, Baptists, Presbyterians, who else are hot in the South? Everybody?
Hardcore Baptists.
Everybody.
Everybody?
Everybody's got a church in the South. Everybody.
And they were so upset after losing the Civil War in the late 1860s that when World War I came around, they were itching to get in. And so somehow the religious right decided to accept that going to war and killing people was acceptable. Well, it's not right to kill people. Steve Scheffler and his group, I believe, would prefer to not have Mr. Trump. I don't know that. I shouldn't. I probably shouldn't have just said that, because if I'm right, then I'm great. But if I'm wrong,
well, I guess we'll find out.
So it's dirty politics in Washington. And here's what's so strange, is to see how icky it is to Republicans. Because for some reason, you don't think we don't do this. You think for some reason that Republicans are high and mighty, and we follow some moral code and it's the Democrats that lie, cheat, and steal. I got news for you. Both sides are horrible, and one is not worse than the other.
I didn't know that.
The Republicans...
You didn't know that, Bob? Lifelong Republican?
The grand old Republican Party, in their haste to give us Mitt Romney, went out and torpedoed everyone from Rand Paul to Herman Cain to Rick Perry to Newt Gingrich to Rick Santorum, whoever was in the way of their choice, Mitt Romney. So your choice is Mitt Romney. We kept saying we don't want Mitt Romney, but guess who we got?
Mitt Romney. You think that was a smear job from the Democrats because they absolutely wanted Obama in?
Well, yes, they had the whole 99%, 1% thing set up as a campaign because they said we were going to kill Romney. So they wanted Romney, and the Republicans wanted Romney. So what did we give him? We give him Romney, and Romney got his clock cleaned.
I love your language.
So anytime
Except
the
the whiz in the cake bake.
Anytime the Democrats try to tell you how to run a campaign, do exactly opposite because they're not trying to show you how to win.
Well, that'll be our conversation next hour. Tom Coates and Steve Scheffler in the house here in Max World 99.3. All right, we've been talking about this new North Carolina religious rights bill, which says that people do not need to go against their moral what would you call them? Moral feelings, moral standards, moral code. And so now all of a sudden you've got all kinds of businesses and organizations and people who said, fine, then we won't do business in North Carolina. We'll punish North Carolina. And I'm asking you what the difference is. None. What's the difference if Bruce Springsteen, the NFL, Bryan Adams, PayPal, or anybody else says they can refuse your service because you have a moral objection of what they're doing? What's the difference between them and us? Now, Chris, you've weighed in and said the difference is what?
Well, I would add that I think that the folks that are boycotting the legislation in North Carolina are doing it because they think that this legislation is a violation of individuals' civil rights, that there are a protected class of people that are being boycotted and they're not boycotted. They're being discriminated against. They're being treated unfairly. And so much like in the civil rights movement, before the civil rights movement, where there was a time in the United States history where we had bathrooms that were only for white people and bathrooms that were only for black people and water fountains that were segregated. And there were certain places that black folks in the United States could not go. That was a time in American history. In fact, there was a time in American history, you mentioned the South earlier, predominantly in the South, where Christians, religious people, Bible-believing Christians, justified the segregation between whites and blacks on biblical grounds. And they were wrong to do that.
Yes, they were.
But they did it. And so we have to be really careful here and remember that we as Christians, there are things that are clearly sin. There are things that are clearly laid out in Scripture that are sin. And we should refrain from doing those things. I shouldn't sin, but the only reason why I shouldn't sin is because I am a member of the body of Christ. I am owned by the Lord Jesus Christ, and I have an obligation to my Savior to live a certain way. And the lost world is going to just do, the world that's not part of the church, the world that is not united to Christ, they're just going to do what they want to do, whatever feels good to them. That's what they're going to do. And we shouldn't be surprised when they do the things that Jesus wouldn't want them to do, because they were doing it from the beginning. They were doing it in their disbelief. They're being disobedience. So just because they're doing things that we call sin should be no shock to us.
Let me try to put this in perspective. What if somehow people got together and tried to shut down the speech at a Black Lives Matter rally?
Oh, that we'd be racist.
Now, they got the right to use their free speech to try to shut down someone else's free speech. This is just as hypocritical as Bruce Springsteen,
But serving, but not.
What if the Christians wanted to boycott Bruce Springsteen because he advocated a certain position?
They can do that.
Well, sure. But what I'm saying is Bruce Springsteen wants to have it all his way.
Right.
It's the same thing with the Black Lives Matter.
But the same thing could be said of Christians, though, right? The church, the religious right wants to have it their way. The religious right says we want to have it our way, and everybody's going to have to conform to our way.
We want to have it God's way.
That's what we say. But remember, Mac, there was a time in the United States history where the church said it's God's way to keep blacks away from white people.
I can't stand Ellen DeGenerate I can't stand her movement, but I've never suggested to anyone boycott JCPenney's. I'd never personally boycotted JCPenney's because I don't like her or I don't like her lifestyle.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You got to talk to me like I'm a 6-year-old. How does Ellen DeGenerate and JCPenney tie?
Well,
do they sponsor her?
Yes, they have ties.
Okay.
She has a makeup line, clothing line. Something.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think we ought to be boycotting anybody. The answer to speech you don't like is more speech. Because if Donald Trump is really the wrong guy, let him hang himself by giving him enough rope. He'll eventually hang himself. I mean, I'll just give you a really quick analogy. My family had a dog that had killed some chickens, and they had to start tying the dog up. And every day the dog would jump the fence, and they'd have to go and uncurl the chain, get it back across the fence. They kept moving the dog house further and farther away from that fence till that dog jumped one last jump fatally and hung himself on that fence. That's an absolute true story. And I'm saying if Donald Trump is this horrendous guy, let him talk more because he'll eventually hang himself. But instead of doing that, they're trying to shut him down.
All right, here's some of the replies that I've had on Facebook.
To what, Mac? What are the replies to?
To the replies on the North Carolina Religious Freedom Bill.
Oh, okay.
Which the NFL, Bryan Adams, Bruce Springsteen, PayPal, United Airlines, many other people are saying they'll stop doing business. I mean, they'll actually take the Carolina Panthers.
They're threatening to do that. Yeah, I don't know that they'll really do that.
Well, they're threatening to do it.
Yeah.
Michael Chapman said, you're exactly right, so don't buy their music or support the sport. I won't be able to buy their cakes. By the way, I'm honored to be labeled as such. I came back and said, why should they be able to cancel the show? That's protest and it's bigotry. Chris came back and said, they must be tolerant of your intolerance. David Kelso says, Jesus, seriously? Every bigoted baker is completely free to shut down their bakery if they don't want to serve your kind here. Bruce isn't asking people for their political or their religious affiliation and then refusing to sell tickets to certain people. Interesting. What are your thoughts? 515-244-0077. You can also text us on the Service Legends Truth Talk text line at 515-809-0993. Coming back live here on The Truth. Yep, I said the truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
10 minutes before the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News at the top, and then we're coming back. Steve Scheffler with the Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition, talking a little bit about some of the conventions that were held over the weekend across the state and why Donald Trump's so mad. Because, well, The truth of the matter is, Donald Trump's not going to get the nomination. At least that's what the GOP establishment would like you to feel. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, before the election. But as Christians, I think we need to be informed. I don't know about you, but I just want to shut it off. I've been a Bill O'Reilly fan. Not a big Bill O'Reilly fan, but I've been a Bill O'Reilly fan for many, many years. My 7 o'clock Fox is no longer existent in my memory on my TV. I can't because he's buying into all this stuff going back and forth, and it's just unbelievable. 515-809-0993. That's the Service Legends Truth Talk line, and you've got a text for us, Robert?
I do, but I should say I'm with you. It's difficult watching Fox News.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying that, because for years and years and years I was so thankful, and I'm still thankful the Fox News is there.
Sure. It's just...
But they're as bad as CNN and almost as bad as MSNBC, which is the worst.
Not quite.
I mean, you want to get down in. Well, you don't think MSNBC's bad?
Well, yes, but they have fired quite a group of people off of that programming schedule.
Okay. People that should have been fired?
Yes.
Okay.
Ed Schultz, Al Sharpton, various litany of people. Rachel Maddow is the only one, really. Chris Matthews and Rachel
Chris
Maddow.
Matthews, that guy just drives me crazy.
Is the only real hangers-on to that network. Everybody else has been pretty much canned.
All right. Last few thoughts here on this religious rights bill, because I'm telling you, it's going to come to Iowa. Do not think for one reason. I mean, I know you're smarter than that. See, I always have to remember that I don't have a lot of low-information voters listening to this program. I wish there were more, but like when I was on the other radio stations, news, radio, anyway, you'd have both right and left. And so when I'd say things like this, I would realize there would be a flesh-hungry audience out there, but very few low-information voters on this listenership.
Now, what if Anita's listening today?
Anita's not a low-information voter.
And
we just disagree.
You kind of promised, Anita, that you was going to change your ways about the low-information voter.
I didn't promise her that.
I thought you did.
I think he promised that to Lisa. That was Lisa.
Oh, was it Lisa?
Yeah, there were a lot of ladies that day that called up and
Okay,
read.
well, I was on a roof in about 50-mile-an-hour winds when I was listening, so I may have got confused, Anita and Lisa. Yes, you're right. It was Lisa. Pardon me.
Well, though here at 99.3, we don't all have the same opinion, though. I think especially amongst the Christians, I think in the Christian community, there are people who would tend to lean very right, conservatively, very hard right on a lot of these issues, and some people that actually would lean fairly left or in the middle or take a sort of non-political view, kind of a separatist or here's a big word, an Anabaptist position that the church is separate from the world and that the church is separate from culture in a sense, and that we are called to be a city on a hill, a light to the nations rather than being as concerned with it. So I think within the Christian community, there's a lot of very informed people that have very differing views on this issue. Just so you know.
I don't think there's anybody that agrees with you. Well, I really don't. I mean, if they agree, call up. I
got texts.
I don't. Oh, from who? Your wife?
No.
Really? Let me see your phone.
Yeah, here.
Who'd you get a text from that agreed with you?
My daughter often agrees with him.
See?
So the deal is in North Carolina.
Informed ladies.
In North Carolina, you've taught Katie how to use your thing.
There's my phone.
Thanks for being the voice of reason in Mac's world today.
That was a text sent to Chris Roloff. See?
And it come from?
That's not from a lady. That's from a guy.
No. I was Frank's daughter, Jessica, right?
Yes.
But that's not who that's from. That's from a gentleman. That proves it. That's two people that agree with me.
Who is this? Do I know this person?
Yes.
It's fake. All right. So, you have a text.
I got a text from a woman, and it's about the bathroom thing. I don't understand why I, as a woman, do not have the right to say I do not want a man in my bathroom.
Because the LGBT movement will shame you into thinking that you're wrong on that, and then get a lawmaker, a legislator to agree with them because they're afraid to be called bigots, and therefore then the law goes down the tubes. That's the answer. Well, a woman should have every right to say, I don't want a man in my bathroom. But in the LGBT world, up is down, right is wrong, left is right. It doesn't matter. You're a bigot if you want your own privacy and don't want to be standing next to a human being that was born as a man who now identifies himself as a woman. And that's just today. Tomorrow it could be different.
Here's an interesting thing that was going around the social media. There is a woman who is a transgender woman who's gone through, what I mean by that is she's biologically a woman. She's changing her gender into being a man. She's taken hormone, things like that, and she's got a beard and she looks like a male. But she is saying in sort of protest, but I have to go to these women's bathrooms. So she looks like a man and she's going inside a women's bathroom. What do you do with that? That was a really interesting thing. Think about that for a minute.
I would say be who God created you to be and stop messing with Mother Nature.
Here's what
right, but the protest in this social media was what this person was trying to say is, I look and identify as a man. I look like a man, but because biologically I'm a female, I have to go into the female's bathroom. So I make women uncomfortable because I look like a man.
Well, then don't look like a man.
Well,
take some responsibility for making people uncomfortable.
Well, that's an easy thing to say, but that's a situation. That's a real situation that someone's dealing with.
Here's the solution: find a unisex or family bathroom, and if that's not available, you simply unzip the fly. You look at the plumbing underneath, and you closely identify whatever that plumbing looks like to the label on the door, and you use that bathroom.
Yeah. See, I don't know why this is so confusing. Be who God created you to be. This is original sin.
Right, I understand.
I'm going to deny the identity that God gave me.
Right.
And I'm going to cause havoc in society because I'm not willing to accept how God created me. Yes?
Right, but it's happening though, right? I mean, those folks are there.
It's happening because we're allowing it to happen.
I don't think it's just a matter of allowing, because the point is, how do you not allow that to happen? Do you get what I'm saying? If you saw someone who was a transgender person who looked like a man but happened to biologically not be, but just from looking at them you thought they were a man, what bathroom would you put them in?
I put them in Pampers. I don't know. Why do they look like a man?
But that's
because they choose to look like a man.
But that's one of the issues that's actually being dealt with here.
Not necessarily.
It's not being dealt with. It's something that's being overseen.
There's these cases of these hermaphrodites that they've got male looks, female looks, so you can't necessarily go by necessarily looks.
Well, it's an interesting question, right?
All right, we're going to take our top of the hour break. Paul, sorry, I'm not going to get you in today on this conversation. We'll let you in another time. Steve Scheffler from the Iowa Freedom Council will be in. Faith and Freedom Council will be in, and we'll be talking about the conventions across the state over the weekend and what is happening to the delegates. Because now we're down to before the caucuses were the sizzle. Now we're getting into the steak. And the steak is trying to deny, the establishment is trying to deny Donald Trump what may be rightfully his, the American people's will. We'll talk about that when we come back next on The Truth.